David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So guess who called today? Video called all the way from Melbourne. My fucking arch enemy, Adrian. I thought I was done with that little cunt, but he's hanging in there. Unbeknownst to myself, my wife, and Adrian's mum have been keeping in contact to keep the fucking friendship alive. So they jump on a video call together and they just stare at each other. My kid and fucking Adrian, that's it. What are they meant to do? They're kids. It's not like they're having deep and meaningful conversations. It's like, look at that ball. It's shiny. I'm Spider-Man, you're Batman. That's it. So my kid and Adrian are just staring at each other like, yep, you still look Chinese. And yep, you still look Israeli-Hungarian. I don't know what the point of the video call between the kids is, really. What, is Adrian going to be a part of my kid's life forever, is he? No, we were trying to cut him out when he lived next door. Don't try and keep the connection going 10,000 miles away. And the other thing is, now my kid's like, I want to go back to Melbourne. I want to see Adrian. And I'm like, so do I, to choke him to death. So anyway, they stop talking, and then it's my wife and Adrian's mum talking. And Adrian's mum, she's an insufferable cunt too. So she's like, yeah, Adrian's doing so well at school. He knows 200 words. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He knows 200 words. He didn't even know one when we left. He tried to pretend he knew how to read. This is how sneaky this little fucking Adrian is. This little fuck. My kid had this little book. I forget what book it was. Let's just say it was Green Eggs and Ham. And if you have kids and you read to the kids, you'll know this. They memorize fucking whole books. They obviously don't know how to read the books, but you read it to them so many times, they fucking memorize it. So Adrian, the little fuck's come over to our house, and he's like, no, I know how to read. And he opens this book, Green Eggs and Ham, and he starts reading it, and we're like, holy shit, you know how to read already, Adrian. You're like a genius. And he just keeps on turning the pages and just keeps on reading. And I was actually very impressed. I was like, I underestimated this little fuck. And then my kid comes over, and he's like, Adrian has that book at home. And I'm like, oh, you have that book at home, do you, Adrian? And he's like, no. And my kid's like, yes, he does. He has it at home. And I'm like, oh, Adrian, you can read, can you? Let me get you another book and see if you can read. So I took that book off him and gave him another book. He didn't know how to fucking read. Of course he didn't. He's Adrian. I did underestimate him, but I underestimated what an evil fucking genius he was. So anyway, Adrian's mum's bragging to my wife about how many words Adrian knows now. 200 words. And this is what she said to my wife. Adrian's mum legitimately said this to my wife. She's like, I asked the teachers if they could give Adrian more words, and the teachers said no. He already knows too many. That's enough. Can you shut the fuck up, please, Adrian's mum? What, the teachers are like, no more words. If he keeps going at this pace, he'll be in university in 6 months. We need to somehow find a way to stop this freak wonder kid from learning. What a cunt. If Adrian knows 200 words, I swear to God, I'll pay for his college. I'll probably be paying for his college anyway if Adrian's mum ever finds this podcast and sues the fuck out of me. But anyway, he's back. He's still here. He's like a recurring nightmare. I was also speaking to my friend today, Cal, the vlogger. I sent him the 10-minute clip of the driving thing I did, and he came back with some advice, and it was pretty good advice. He's like, don't put it under Boyle Comedy, start a new YouTube channel for it, get some artwork, have like you and a fucking wife beater, and a tuk-tuk, and a car, and a Taj Mahal in the background. I'm like, that's pretty cool. And he's like, you've got a cool little niche here. If you do it right, it could be successful. He's like, I would like to see some just driving without you in the corner talking shit. Not too much, just a little bit, and then you pop on screen. Then he's like, every drive you go on, there has to be a point to it. Like you're going to get something, going to shave your nuts or whatever. Just so you retain the viewers. It's all about retention. Anyway, I'm taking this all in. And I said to him, I'm like, listen, because he's always fucking complaining. He's a Sparky and he just wants to do something creative for a living. And he's always complaining about his job and not being able to do it. So I said to him, I'm like, listen, man, I'll go out and get the footage. I'll send it to you. You take over the channel. You know what's going on. You edit it up however the fuck you want, whatever you think's going to be good. And if the channel starts making money, we'll work out some sort of percentage deal. Like I'm talking 0.0000001%. No, something fair, obviously, if it starts making money. And the chances are it's not going to make money. The overwhelming chances are it's not going to make money. But anyway, this cunt comes back to me and he's like, when your channel's up and running and you start making money from it, I'll jump on board then. I'm like, what? If the channel starts making money, I don't need you. If the channel starts making money, I'll hire a real fucking editor. If it's already successful and I'm already making money from it, I don't need you. And I said to him, I'm like, no, you get in on ground level where all the fucking risk is and you do it for fucking free until it makes money. And then you reap the rewards of what you fucking sow. You don't fucking bounce in once it's already successful. And then he comes back and he's like, no, that's what people do. They build it up themselves. And then when they've got enough income, they hire a professional editor and manager. I'm like, yes, but you're not an editor or a manager. You're a fucking electrician. This is the problem with my friend Cal. He wants all the rewards and wants to take on none of the risk because he's earning good money as an electrician and he's too tired to do it when he gets home. That's why he stopped editing and creating shit himself, because he had a job and he was too tired to do it after work. And he came to me, he's like, I just can't do it after work. He's like, it's too hard. I'm like, yes, I know it's too hard. I've been working as a crane driver and a dogman and a fucking barista in a cancer hospital for the last 10 years and going out to gigs every night. I know it's hard. And yes, I haven't worked for a year, but I also haven't earned for a year, and that's the risk. I could have gone back to driving cranes and earned somewhat decent money and been kind of comfortable. But then what happens in 5 years, 10 years? I'm in the same position I'm in before I stop working, where I want to fucking jump off a cliff every morning and just end it. That's what you're risking in this shit. You're risking a somewhat comfortable misery for potentially achieving something you want to achieve, but more than likely abject failure. The abject failure is much more likely than the success. The success is like 0.1%. It's a gamble. So anyway, between fucking Adrian and fucking my mate Cal, I'm all riled up. But anyway, that's all for tonight. If you're enjoying the podcast, give it a share around. Tell your friends about it. Hit me up on social media. I'm Boyle Comedy on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'll see you the fuck later.